Hey guys, this is miicrow here. Wanted to do a quick overview of Season 9 and talk about Season 10 and some of the cool, exciting things that are coming to New World in the near future that I think will bring people back to the game and have the potential for actually keeping people playing the game for longer. The TLDR of AGS's kind of new approach is less focus on static content and a lot more focus on kind of renewable content. And you see this with their approach. In Season 9, for example, there's a large focus on renewable PvP content in terms of new PvP modes with CTF, new maps in terms of 3v3, OPR previews, and just general balance updates and artifacts, as well as focuses in the future in terms of having pickup wars, which seemingly got delayed again, which I think a lot of people are kind of upset about. And in terms of a PvE side, the focus is on this procedural expeditions with extraction, right? And all of those are really, really smart decisions because AGS in the past has had a habit of putting out content that gets played for probably 10 to 20 hours and then people kind of move on, if you will. And the replayability factor isn't really there. I think they tried to make stuff more replayable with like mutations, but it kind of fell flat on its face because it's more of a modifier and isn't like the mechanics aren't inherently much different and doesn't really change the flow very much. So it's people have kind of fallen out of favor of those. But in terms of Season 9 and what we're getting, those maps I think will kind of spice stuff up a bit. The new mode has a different meta, which is really nice. It's a lot more bally. It kind of feels like OG OPR where people are kind of clumped together a lot more, and there wasn't as much like backcapping and all this other shenanigans going on. Like if you want a pure PvP mode, I think CTF's a little bit better than OPR, and it will be refreshing to play that. And the new artifacts that were kind of teased are really, really interesting as well. The one I want to highlight specifically is Crescent Wave, which is while you're above 50% health, heavy attacks cast a projectile forward, which deals 150% weapon damage. Each wave costs 20 mana. This is the one that we had on the seasonal server, and we have clips of what that did. I think I left this on by accident. So Baggins has a clip on the stream or two, but you cast a heavy attack. This just goes through a bunch of people. And the trick, I think, with this will be to do a light attack first, and then will be to cast the sideways heavies, because those will have a bigger hitbox and can hit more people. And that itself will enable this weapon to potentially be meta-defining in PvP. I think there's kind of a split of people that think, oh my gosh, this is going to be broken, and some people are like, oh my gosh, we're trying to say Greatsword's broken, and Greatsword hasn't been meta, because anyone that runs Greatsword just gets completely melted. So it'll probably land somewhere in between. Depending on if you build this as glass cannon or if you build this as somewhat tanky, I think it could hit somewhere between 4 and 8k as an AoE pierce in PvP, which is kind of crazy. And it has the potential to be meta-defining depending on the other perks, which as of right now, we don't know what the other perks are, but we know that it's an artifact, so it's likely going to have Magnify on it. It won't be Strength Dex, so that opens up some possibilities. We know that the wave effect was arcane, which then opens up possibilities of terms of build combinations. So maybe people like try to go into int or something like that, or they try to like do some elemental conductor shenanigans. But most likely the way that this weapon will be paired is with SNS and with Spear. There are some other offhands that like could be possible. Like you could see people with like 5-con hatchet builds or 50-con hatchet builds with this, who are just like playing to AoE nuke people and will close distance with hatchet if they need to be. But the main downside of Greatsword is if it gets looked at, it can die. In melee range, if it has Trenchant Strikes, like that's really, really good. But we don't know if these are the final perks or not. And that damage itself won't affect Crescent Wave. So I think we have to wait for the final perks to kind of see how it will fit. But the actual ability itself has a lot of potential. There's also the Yeaterson's Warhammer that people have seen before. This is just basically just OG clear out. Very, very effective when used, but also a great way to grief people. I still have some great clips from clear out from back in the day when it was used sometimes to get people killed, but I think more than likely this will be kind of an off meta hammer, unless the other perks that they add on here are really, really good. Like refreshing move on a hammer isn't that useful. Sundering clear out is fine. Plague strikes is decent. Like this last perk slot would probably need to be like either a gem slot, or it would need to be Trenchant Strikes in order for it to be viable at all. So that will be kind of interesting to see. And moving on from that, that's kind of a wrap up for season 9. Like, not a ton of stuff there, but maybe the meadows shift a bit. Season 10 is far more interesting. We get a new zone, we get the new raid, which they announced finally, and there will be procedural expeditions, which I think is the main highlight here. This has the ability to completely revive PvP and make PvE content completely replayable. They're also updating the endgame system overhaul in terms of adding in set bonuses, which if they retroactively add set bonuses to stuff like, like if you get Frigid Dawn pieces, like say you have 4 Frigid Dawn pieces, now you have a set bonus that like maybe makes you apply a slow when you hit somebody, like stuff like that could literally be meta defining, and that on top of the next gen umbrals, which they advertise would let you upgrade old gear potentially. And if that is possible, then we can go back to a spot where people are running Frigid Dawn again. Don't really have to worry. You don't have to worry about Magnify as much, and I think it just makes everything flow a lot better and makes all avenues in terms of getting out gear possible for acquiring the gear that you're looking for in the end game. So I really like the ideas that they're going for here with the end game system, and I think this season 10 is going to be the one to come back to if you haven't been playing the game in a while. Season 9 is kind of a, hey, if you want to get some gold going and not swipe like some people probably will just do and not really care about this, but if you want to prep a bit, like season 9 I think is a good time to do that. Or if you want to kind of enjoy the new CTF maps or do New World League stuff, which is going on right now. Well, I guess kind of late for the New World League, but if you want to do like some more stuff, that would be around in season 9, but season 10 is the really, really big one. I have an opinion that I'm kind of curious on for you guys is what you think. Would you be okay with them delaying season 10 for like a month or two if they were to fit in the new weapon and pickup wars? Because in my opinion, if they were able to fit those two and delay it like a month, that would definitely be worth it, because those are such like big upgrades to the end game system and such big things that people are looking forward to, that I think it would help like the end game progression a lot. But I'm curious what you guys think about that, because I know there's other people that would probably just be like, no, just get the new content out when they can, and they'll pick up wars will come when they come. I'm just worried about people coming back to season 10, playing for a little bit, and then like realizing that there's only like 2 or 3 servers left per region, because I imagine I'll add new servers, and because there's only 2-3 servers left and there's only 12 territories per server, that means there's like tops like 12 wars per day across 3 servers, because we only have 4 wars that are pushing a conflict, or 4 territories pushing a conflict the same day. So it's just like there's basically not going to be enough war slots, and people are going to be fighting over those, and it just creates kind of a toxic environment. And I would rather them have the pickup wars when that comes out, so that people can be introduced to that system and aren't completely shunned from it immediately. And it would be kind of a good balance to maybe not necessarily having a fresh start, but allowing newer people to kind of get involved with that scene earlier on. But in terms of the other stuff that's coming from the Beyond, we know the new weapon will be two-handed. We don't know anything else about it. Raid difficulties will be interesting. We might get some set bonuses tied to that. New PvP mode that we don't know much about. Zone up level, which I imagine will either be Reek or Morningdale, because those are the 2 that kind of need it the most and are absent now from the main story quest. New heart runes, endgame reputation systems, pickup wards, and global crafting storage. So like all these are very decent options that I think it makes sense to focus on. Again, like the focus is on renewable content, right? Like you have raid difficulties, it's kind of like mutations in the sense where it's like, you can go back to it. It doesn't take a lot of dev resources to make, and probably has more enjoyment from a player standpoint than other stuff. So I think that kind of makes sense. In exploration, I don't really want to get too involved into, because I think it's just too far in the future to really worry about. Like I think all of this in exploration stuff is talking like 6 months to a year out at this point. So it's like by the time this comes out, for all we know, Lord of the Rings could be out and we could all be playing a different game. But it would be interesting if they're able to hit some of these systems kind of earlier. Like I'm particularly interested by this like influence tower siege thing. Like this sounds like something that would like play out in Albion, with like taking over a castle and then getting rewards or something like that for doing that, and that could be kind of interesting. But overall, season 9, I wouldn't say it's a letdown, but it's not that insane sounding. I do like that they're reworking some of the old artifacts. I think they're reworking 3. Let's see, I have it written down. They're reworking Vengeance, the Gray Wizard Hat, and Creed boots, I believe. is what they said on here. Let me look down. They probably said it in here too. I might have just been from the dev video, but they're reworking 3 artifacts, so that would be kind of interesting to see how they go. Vengeance was notoriously like not usable because healers can't do damage, so it'll be interesting to see what they do to that. A Grey Wizard hat was nichely viable, but wasn't popular. And Creed boots, I think, was used a bit, but it was like relatively uncommon and was just not as good as like other options. So it'll be interesting to see what they do to that too. There's also a helmet that's coming out that has a disease related thing on there, and depending on the weight, we'll probably decide where it gets played, and it'll be kind of interesting. But we don't know enough about that to really elaborate much more on that. With that being said, let me know what you guys think about like this new kind of direction to the focus on renewable content versus static content. And I will see you guys later. Peace.